Appendices SG 32a, excerpts from Srila Prabhupada's letters. Excerpts from Srila Prabhupada's letters. I requested Satyabhrata, Moscovitz, to publish Lord Chaitanya's teachings, which is ready with Satsvarupa. Thakur Bhaktivinoda's book Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu may be printed in thousands and distributed. 6711 Tarayarama. Note: the references following quotations correspond to the numbering system employed in the 5-volume book, Letters from Srila Prabhupada. So far as reading is concerned, you may read any one of the books you have mentioned. Introduction to Srimad Bhagavatam, Professor Sanil's book. Srila Bhaktivinoda's book Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Life and Precepts, or English translation of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Best thing is to take any one of the above mentioned books and finish it, from beginning to end. You can do that with Srila Bhaktivinoda's book. That would be very nice. 68315 to Madhapurusa. The statements of Thakur Bhaktivinoda are as good as scriptures because he is a liberated person. Generally the spiritual master comes from the group of such eternal associates of the Lord, but anyone who follows the principles of such ever-liberated persons is as good as one in the above-mentioned group. The gurus from nature's study are accepted as such on the principle that an elevated person in Krishna consciousness does not accept anyone as a disciple, but he accepts everyone as expansion of his guru. That is very high position, called Mahabhagavata. Just like Radharani sometimes thinks a subordinate of hers as her teacher, to understand devotion of Krishna. A person who is liberated Acharya and Guru cannot commit any mistake. 68418 to Janardana. I am so pleased upon you that you are showing the example of an ideal householder. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was also a householder, but he lived in such perfect Krishna consciousness that he is better than many sannyasis like us. So far as I am concerned, I could not live like Bhaktivinoda Thakur because I was disgusted with my family members and I was obliged to give up my family life. We take it for granted that we have dedicated our life for Krishna's service in 3 ways, namely, in our body, in our mind, and in our words. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung in a poetry that my mind, my body and my home is surrendered unto you. So a grahastha or householder like you are also Tridandi, or renunciate. 68835 to Rupanuga, so you should try to understand these principles of merit life and use your discretion. You should not imitate great personalities like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, but you must follow his footprints. But it is not always possible to have the same success as great personalities like Bhaktivinoda Thakur achieved. So in all circumstances you should try to follow the footprints of authorities but never to imitate them. 68924 to Satsvarupa. So it is not slavish when one agrees to become the slave of Krishna and his representative, because this is the liberated position, liberated from being slave to the senses. Yes, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, my dear Vaishnava Thakura, spiritual master, let me become your dog, and I shall remain at your door, and I shall guard against any nonsense persons trying to enter, and whatever food you will give me, I shall eat, and I shall remain as your dog. 681114 to Sivananda. Thank you very much for your endeavor, and all blessings of Thakur Bhaktivinoda and Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati will be bestowed upon you because you are trying to push on their lifelong mission. Thakur Bhaktivinoda, in the year of my birth, first attempted to introduce these missionary activities in McGill University, and the same attempt is being renovated by your combined efforts. I am sure that Lord Chaitanya and his eternal associates, Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati, will be pleased to bestow their mercy upon you. Please try to continue this attempt and I am sure you shall be successful. 681147 to Hayagriva. I expressed my desire that during the ceremony a special home for the European and American Brahmacharis may be established at Mayapur. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Prabhupada desired that such American and European devotees may live at Mayapur for studies of Sri Chaitanya philosophy, and now the time is ripe when many American, European and Japanese students working as my disciples are ready to go there for this purpose, referring to a disheartening letter from a godbrother. This is most discouraging and against the will of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur. I therefore request you to give me a plot of land within the precincts of Sri Chaitanya Math to construct a suitable building for my European and American students, who may go in numbers to visit the site of the birthplace of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 69220 to B.V. Tirtha Maharaja. Thakur Bhaktivinoda was not official spiritual master of Gaur-Kishore Dasa Babaji Maharaja. Gaur-Kishore Dasa Babaji Maharaja was already renounced order, Paramahansa, but Thakur Bhaktivinoda, while he was even playing the part of a householder, was treated by Gaur-Kishore Dasa Babaji Maharaja as preceptor, on account of his highly elevated spiritual understanding, and thus he was always treating him as his spiritual master. The spiritual master is divided into two parts, namely, Siksha Guru and Diksha Guru. So officially Bhaktivinoda Thakur was like Siksha Guru of Gaur-Kishore Dasa Babaji Maharaja, 695-1 Dayananda, N.B. Enclosed is a few nice poems by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur which you may hand over to Mandali Bhadra for translation into German and to be submitted for publication in German. Back to Godhead, 695-25 to Ananda, regarding New Vrindavan. Immediately there is no program for investing in New Vrindavan until Haryagriva transfers the property in the society's name. But there is another program. Bhaktivinoda Thakur desired that American disciples would come to Mayapur to take advantage of the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 69730 to Brahmananda. So far as the quotation from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur you have cited, that is quite all right. In this age, chanting of this Hare Krishna mantra is the prime business of the devotee, and preaching of this Hare Krishna mantra by outdoor Sankirtana and propagation of literature is our more important business. Side by side, deity worship is recommended, but when there is a question of accepting one of them, we shall prefer to accept chanting of Hare Krishna mantra first. 699-6 to Hamzadutta, Achyutananda should be encouraged to do this translating work. He is translating poems of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and that is very nice. 691-034 to Brahmananda. So far as initiating disciples is concerned, anyone who is qualified can do this. For example, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was householder and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati was staunch Brahmachari, yet they both were qualified for initiating disciples. 69113 to Krishna Devi. Generally, if one can remain a Brahmachari, it is very convenient, and from Brahmachari one can take sannyasa. But in this age of Kali, Bhaktivinoda Thakur recommends that it is better to cultivate Krishna consciousness as a householder. 69114 to Mandali Bhadra. I am especially interested in the land which I asked from you within the vicinity of Chaitanya Math. This is in pursuance of the desire of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Prabhupada. It is not for my personal use or satisfaction of personal whims. 691212 to B.V. Tirtha Maharaja, regarding the song by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the transliteration is as follows. Manase deha geha yokich humorar paluntu apadena andiaki sora maravira kaviyo ich hatohara nitaya dase prati tua adhikara. The translation is my mind, my body, my home, or whatever I have got in my possession I surrender unto your lotus feet, O my dear Lord, son of Nanda Maharaja, Krishna. Now if you like, you can kill me, or if you like you can give me protection. Whatever you like you can do. I am your eternal servitor. You have got every right to deal with me in any way as you please. 691220 to Nandikasora, regarding Mayapur land. Practically my jurisdiction of preaching work is covered mostly in these Western countries, and because Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wanted it that the American and European devotees should come to Mayapur, therefore I am trying for it. If you kindly help me in this connection it will be a great assistance. 70132 to Madhava Maharaja. Maya is covering all the material energies. Therefore one who is materially advanced, covered with riches, covered with learning, covered with fame or covered with any material opulences, is understood to be covered by Maya. Srila Bhaktivinoda says, Jada Vidya Sabha Mayor Babhava. The material opulences are expansions of Maya's influence. 70-31 to Bhagavan. Now everything is there and you are also experienced, therefore go on opening branches as many as possible and preach Sankirtana movement to your best capacity. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur entrusted the responsibility to my Guru Maharaja, and he also in his turn empowered us to do the work. Similarly, I am requesting you, all my European and American students, to spread this movement city to city and village to village and make all people of the world happy. 70324 to Hamzadutta. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that materialistic knowledge is another expansion of the influence of Maya. The result of material education is that the living entity forgets his own identification and takes to the business of a particular type of body which is given to him by the grace of Maya. 70537 to Hayagriva. You have asked for some specific mantra. There is no other greater mantra than Hare Krishna. Srila Bhaktivinoda says, when I chant Radha Krishna or Hare Krishna all my dangers are gone immediately, so which other mantra can be more effective than Hare Krishna? 70542 to Upendra. Our temple is meant for our men, and we may have our own discussions amongst ourselves, no outsider needed. It is definitely concluded that we have not got to learn anything from any outsider beyond the jurisdiction of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. Our philosophy is established on sound ground of the conclusion arrived at by Vyasadeva down to Diva Goswami, Visvanatha Chakravarti, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, etc. 70545 to Tamal Krishna Maharaja. Wherever we may be, if we are engaged in Krishna's service, that is our success. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung, praying to the Lord, that he would prefer to take his birth as an ant in the house of a devotee than to take birth as powerful as Brahma without any devotional service. 701153 to Garga Muni. So far, until now, my god brothers have regularly not cooperated with me, and yet, by the grace of my spiritual master, things are still going ahead. It is the desire of Bhaktivinoda Thakur to preach the Chaitanya cult all over the world, and in 1875 he predicted that someone would come very soon who would individually preach this cult all over the world. So if his benediction is there and my Guru Maharaja's blessings are there, we can go ahead without any impediment, but all of us must be very sincere and serious. 71231 to Jayapatika Maharaja. Arakaraya Bhaktivinoda Thakur was the perfect householder and we should take his example. What a nice householder he was and what nice children he produced. One of them is my Guru Maharaja. That is the example. So follow it and become successful in Krishna consciousness. 71615 to Svarupa. In reference to Mayapur, J. regarding your proposal of a Rathayatra festival as Bhaktivinoda Thakur suggested, you may kindly send me a note telling in which book the above statement is. I shall be very glad to see the article you have written in this connection, and if it is ready please send it to me immediately. 718-7 to Asayudananda. Whenever our men go to visit Lalita Prasad Thakur they must take some presentation, cash or kind, worth not less than Rs 50 at least. Some nice presentation should always be given. Not that you go empty-handed. It is customary to make a presentation to the deity and spiritual master. Lalita Prasad Thakur is son of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and younger brother of Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati, so he is considered my spiritual master. 719-8 to Jayapatika Maharaja. I am very anxious to know whether we are going to have our Mayapur function. I want very much to hold this function this year with all of my students, and I ask you to kindly serve me by making this possible. It is a very important day and it will be a great service to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and to his son Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur. 72119 to Jayapatika Maharaja. The whole day spent at your temple on Thursday was so pleasant and happy that all my disciples felt celestial blessings in your association. Personally, I am so much encouraged by you, that I appreciate this as the blessings of Bhaktivinoda Thakur through his living representative. 7233 to His Divine Grace Lalita Prasad Thakur. You can write, but one cannot take it very seriously. If any Vaishnava is writing song about Krishna, that should be from one who himself has realized Krishna, just like our great saints and acharyas like Madhvacarya, Ramanujacarya, Rupa Goswami, Six Goswamins, Bilva Mangala, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, like that. They are self-realized souls. Therefore if they write something a song about Krishna, that is perfectly from the transcendental platform, without any tinge of mundane influence or nonsense imagination. Unless someone comes in the category of these great leading Vaishnava personalities, his manufacturing some songs will be misleading to himself and to others. And unless his writing of poems and songs can be accepted as gospel, as Vedas or the absolute truth, such writing is diverting the attention from the subject matter only and should not be regarded very seriously. No one should write songs of Krishna unless he is self-realized soul. That will spoil the value of the whole thing. 7.2.3.9 to Billy Reaburn, referring to a plan to help develop the birthplace of Thakur Bhaktivinoda. So far as our relationship is concerned, even though we keep independent of one another, there will be no misunderstanding. Because the central point is Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Our only ambition is that the birth site of Bhaktivinoda Thakur must be gorgeous and attractive so that people may come to see it from all parts of the world. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is no longer localized. His holy name is being expanded along with Lord Chaitanya's. So let them understand this point. They are occupying the place for more than 50 years and none of their men could fulfill the desire of Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the matter of preaching in foreign countries. I can understand also that Lalita Prasad Thakur is very much favorable in giving us the concession, but his assistants may be hesitating unnecessarily. 7.2.5.4.2 to Jayapatika Maharaja, now you be in charge of our Mayapur center. Practically speaking, you were my first disciple, and I think it is Bhaktivinoda's desire that my first disciple shall go to Bengal and revive Krishna consciousness there. 7.2.6.4 to Achyutananda, I have just now got a letter from Achyutananda Maharaja from Mayapur, and his plan is to photograph all of the original manuscripts of Bhaktivinoda Thakur which are held by his son, Lalita Prasad Thakur, in Birnagar. This is very, very important work, so I think you are just the right man for going there with Achyutananda to make photos of each and every page of the old manuscripts as they are in very bad condition. 7.2.6.2.7 letter to Yadubara, yes, that is nice. You may continue to photograph all of the manuscripts of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and other great acharyas in our Vaishnava line, but for now do not photograph any of Lalita Prasad's manuscripts. When I go there I shall see. First of all let us see Bhaktivinoda Thakur's works, then we shall see further. 7.2.7.4.2 to Yadubara, regarding Bhaktivinoda Thakur's manuscripts, immediately we do not have any program for printing them. You keep them carefully and when I return I shall consider the matter. The translating work can be done both by Ramananda and Niranjana and Benares. 7.2.8.3, regarding your questions, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur never took formal sannyasa. He was Babaji, living in seclusion away from wife and family as Paramahamsa. One can have as many children as Bhaktivinoda Thakur as long as one is as good as Bhaktivinoda Thakur. 7.2.14.14 to Kandravali. So always think of the lotus feet of Sri Krishna and you will find no difficulties in executing the tasks allotted to you by Krishna. Bhaktivinoda Thakur used to say all difficult tasks he had to execute for Krishna were considered as great pleasure for him. 7.3.8.3.1 to Satsvarupa. I understand that in the past you were visiting Lalit Prasaji and that you may also be planning to continue to visit him when you return to India. This is not approved by me and I request you not to go to see him anymore. He holds a grudge against my Guru Maharaja and even if it is transcendental it will gradually appear mundane in our eyes. Whatever is to be learned of the teachings of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur can be learned from our books. There is no need whatsoever for any outside instruction. 7.3.1.2.4.0 to Guru Kripa and Yasodhanandan Maharajas. Your good family has great interest in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and especially your grandfather Mahatma Sisir Kumar Ghose was a great friend of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So we are coming down in disciplic succession from Bhaktivinoda Thakur and you are coming in family succession from Mahatma Sisir Kumar Ghose. So if we combine together in preaching the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it will be a great benediction to human society for the mitigation of all kinds of problems of material existence. 743-9 to Taran Kanti Babu. You complain that as a householder it is very difficult. Especially you want to preach. There are examples of great preachers who were householders, such as Bhaktivinoda Thakur, although we cannot hope to imitate him. 74417 to Raghunatha. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung Krishna Sai Tamara, Krishna Dai Para, Tamara Sakadiak. Amita Kangala, Krishna Krishna Bali, Datava Pashi Pashi. Krishna is yours and you have the power to give him to anyone you wish. I am poor and wretched and running behind you shouting, Krishna, Krishna. Krishna is unlimited, no one can catch him, but if someone follows the parampara, he agrees to be captured. 768-7 to residents of New Dwarka, you may use Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's translation of the Sixastakam. 769-68 to Pankaratna, I am in due receipt of your letter dated November 30th, 1976, accompanied by your translation of Srila Bhaktivinoda's songs. Thank you very much. You have done nicely. 761235 to Jayasasanandana.